Yep, they're rolling.
We're rolling.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Never
Awesome.
been more ready.
All right, cool. So we are today, well, I guess, welcome to the No BS podcast. I am one of your hosts, Leah.
And I'm Maria.
And Maria. And today we got a special guest. So at first we're going to give Kelly a little brief intro, and then we're going to have Kelly take it over and film the rest. So Kelly is a mom, a business owner, a pharmacist, an avid gym goer, and creates pretty cool stuff. She has a different level of imagination that not all of us have. She's able to create with her hands. Us through photography, it's a different level that we get to kind of dabble into, but in the end, we don't get to physically hold the products we create. She does. So, Kelly, why don't you kind of give us an intro into yourself, the business? It can be 30 seconds. It can be 30 minutes long, whatever you want to do, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay. Yeah. So I am Kelly. I own Eden Woodcrafts, and it's hard to describe what I do, but I just tell people I make custom 3D signs. I make them handmade using a scroll saw, and I do anything from logo work, which has been one of my favorite things to do now, to 3D footprints, people's handwriting, children's art. Really, I used to say no a lot to things, and now I kind of say yes to everything when people bring me their ideas and like, how can I turn this into something tangible? So,
all right. So why don't you go into a little detail into how you created your business?
Yeah. So it's kind of a sad story that turned into, I would say, like a beautiful story. My husband, Nick, and I, we didn't really expect the journey we would have to having children. So we started trying, we had a miscarriage, and then our daughter, Eden, was stillborn. That was back in 2017. And I always get a little emotional when I say that.
It's okay. You're allowed.
It's okay. Yeah. So that was 2017. I stumbled upon the idea of the 3D footprints. That was something that really like took hold of my heart when I was looking for something to memorialize her, but it wasn't something that was readily available. But that concept of being able to like have your child's footprints, that especially when your child is no longer there, when you have that in front of you and it's cut to the size that those footprints were, it's just something that was like really powerful for me, because that was like one of the most significant things that I had of her, was like holding her little feet in my hands. And then just the idea that I could run my hands over her footprints again and just really go back to that moment, that was really special. So that idea took hold of me, and I tried to order this sign for over a year, where I would try to get a restock. And finally I'm like, you know what, there is a demand for this that obviously people aren't able to keep up with. So why don't I try to figure out how to do it? I've always been like, I loved art class. I loved doing things creative. So it was something that interested me, and just trying to figure out if it was something I could do.
Yeah.
So I went down, I call it like the black hole that is the internet, where it's like you Google something and then you're just hours down the line. And I finally stumbled upon a scroll saw. So that was in 2018. I kind of figured out, okay, how can you make a 3D sign out of wood? And then it was 2019 that I finally got the scroll saw. So at that point, I had my son Finn, and it was right after he was born that Nick's mom actually gifted me my first scroll saw.
Oh my goodness.
And I know it was so sweet for my birthday. I was like, I want to make this sign. Just like, here you go. The machine, it was terrible, but it was like very much a starter scroll saw.
Yeah.
And I learned on that, and that really made me appreciate a better scroll saw. Like where you might be limited by the tools that you have, and like what I could do with a good one. But it at least got me to the point where I was like, I am very committed to figuring out how to do this. Learning the scroll saw isn't something that I would say is easy, but once you figure it out, it is pretty easy. So it's just that initial learning curve, and like, do you have what it takes to figure this out and put the time in that you need to be able to do it? So I think for me, I had a very specific thing that I wanted to do, and that was cut out Eden's footprints. And at that time, it wasn't even going to be a business. It was just like, I just want to make this. And the process of figuring out how to make it was a very healing journey for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I kind of like had that drive behind me, and I didn't start out right away by cutting her footprints because I didn't want that to be something very frustrating. Like when you're learning something new, you're going to have roadblocks and hiccups along the way and things that just drive you nuts as you're learning it. So I didn't want that moment for me to be something that was frustrating. So I just started with handwriting. And I randomly put it on Facebook. Like, hey, I made a handwriting sign. Yeah, I put it up on Facebook. The next thing I know, I had 2 people message me. The first one like instantly was like, I want a handwriting sign. The second person was like, I want 10 handwriting signs. I was like, oh, this could really be something. So I kind of went with that. I did quite a few batches of the handwriting signs. And then I got a newer scroll saw where I knew at that point what the limitations of the model that I started on were. And I got that newer scroll saw. And with that, I was able to cut out Eden's footprints. And that, I don't know, it's a moment that I'll never forget. Like having her was a moment that I'll never forget. But when I got those footprints cut out and I put them in the palm of my hand and I just was like, this is what I wanted to do. And not that I need something to remember her, but it was just really, really powerful for me to have those footprints in the palm of my hand. And yeah.
We probably need to add a box of tissues to the table.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my.
You good?
I'm sorry.
I'm like sweating now too.
It's all good.
It's sweaty.
Yeah.
I just have to turn the air off so we wouldn't have any buzzing in the background. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
We'll be okay. Now it's out there.
Wow. I can't even imagine that moment. Because I mean, we all know that grieving has a process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it takes time. So was that your moment? Was that the moment that you're like, okay, I feel okay with this now?
So I don't even know if that was the exact moment, but I would definitely say that this whole business and finding this passion absolutely was the main part of my healing process. I think after her, I was not in a good place. Like I handled her pregnancy well and everything. And then after her, just, I really, really struggled. And just using your hands and making, I found this like incredibly therapeutic, like, I don't know, like therapeutic process behind it where it was for a long time, I would have to really think about choosing happiness and being okay. And all of a sudden I'm passionate and excited about what I'm doing. And not only what I was able to make for myself, but meeting other moms who have gone through, moms and dads who have gone through things that I did, and just opening up this whole world of understanding. And all of a sudden I didn't really have to think about being okay anymore. It was just like, you know what, I'm just happy. Like, I love what I'm doing. I was so grateful because at that point I had my son, Finn, and like Nick is just wonderful. He's a wonderful human.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, I don't know, just really cool to go through that and just no longer have to think about, okay, like today you will choose happy. Yeah. Today you will be okay. And you just wake up and you are okay. And you're excited about the day and your life and just the things to come. So yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's huge.
One of my things that I live by and choose to live by, and a lot of times when I have people who, because for some reason I flock a lot of people who like are wanting to start a business and are taking those steps to do that. And so one thing that I always preach is like God gives you talents and it's okay to monetize them. That's what he wants us to do.
Yeah.
So God gives you talents. It's okay to monetize them. Better yet, it's okay to support your family using them. And there's just something so satisfying and so peaceful about using your talents to support your family that I understand what you're saying when you describe, describe that feeling when you are doing the work that you are supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wake up every day and it doesn't feel like it's a hard day. It doesn't feel like it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that.
Yeah. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would say, like, everything we went through, I always hate when people are like, oh, like, because you hear it a lot, like everything happens for a reason. I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But was I able to take this really difficult experience and feel like that experience led me to a more beautiful life than I would have lived had I not gone through that? Like, absolutely. Because I wasn't looking for another career. I wasn't looking for something I was passionate about. It's just, I feel like she led me to this passion and this life that now I can have with my boys, where I'm home more and I'm supporting my family with something I really love to do. And I don't know. It's pretty cool because I feel like her little feet are what led me to this, like, this whole path.
And obviously
that I didn't expect.
you had a fixation on creating that for a reason too.
Yeah.
So very awesome.
Now, where have you seen your business transition from the very beginning? Like, what were some ups and downs that you kind of noticed as you went through this, trying to figure out, all right, how much time do I put into this? You also have a job outside of this. How do you find that balance? What do you put more into, along with having 2 boys and a husband? How have you kind of tried to find that balance over these past few years?
I am still trying to find it.
So you're still a pharmacist.
So I'm still
correct?
a pharmacist. Okay. I would say is I saw the opportunity to create a business out of this more than I just want to be able to gift these things to people. But no, I want to do this, so I need to find a way to make it sustainable. So as I've transitioned from that, I dropped down to part-time in the pharmacy, which has been amazing. Other than I pick up a lot of extra shifts when I'm asked. So it's like I'm part-time
most of the time.
Most of the time. And I'm like, oh, Liam, like, I'll have your sign done 6 months from now because I keep working in the pharmacy. Yeah. So I'm still trying to navigate that, but I feel like saying no to things that aren't going to support what I want, the path that I want. And I'm getting better about that. So dropping to part-time in the pharmacy, grocery curbside orders.
Game changer. Liam doesn't know this world, but I'm sitting here like, yes.
But every week when I have to sit and do my grocery order, I'm always like, oh man, I gotta sit at my computer and order groceries. It's gonna take me 20 minutes. Or I'm like, oh, it's literally hours that I add to my week, like managing life as a mom. So yeah.
I get mine delivered. Yeah. I took a step further and I get mine delivered, but it changes the game.
Yes. So I feel like that balance, like, I don't know how people did it. So that's kind of a joke, but it's not a joke. Not a joke. That's huge. Yeah. And then, I mean, my other thing that I'm really big, and when people ask me about how do you find the time, it's those pockets of time. There's a lot of work that I do now, like the newborn footprints. They're not something that is incredibly hard for me to do. They take time, but I know my process. I know exactly how to do it. And I can run out to the garage. I'm like, okay, I have 10 minutes. I can get this task done, finished. So the newborn footprints, handwriting signs, things like that, I really work into those little pockets of time. Now, when I'm doing something like logo work, that's where I am finding more of like my creative energy going. Like cameraman, for example, like how can I do something to challenge myself? Those are the things that are not happening in those little pockets of time. They're like when I need a day in the garage and I need to work things out and use tools that I don't want my boys in the garage while I'm using those tools. So those kinds of pieces are a lot harder to churn out just because my time is so limited. I get sometimes one day a week in the garage, some weeks, not every week, but those are kind of just where I prioritize what can I do with my kids at home, what can they help with, which they're helping more and more. And it's really fun to see them actually, I mean, at this point, it still slows me down, but it's still stuff that
it's having their involvement in it.
Yeah,
they get to be a part of it.
That they're able to do. Like Finn, we worked on a sign for his teacher, and I had him put the oil and the finish on the frame. Like, how much more special is that sign? Like that this little 5-year-old helped create that. Now, given I did a lot of work to get up to it, like it doesn't look like a 5-year-old's work, but it's like, what can I let them help with? Because at this age, they just want to help. And I don't know, anytime I can let them help. Like Jonah helped me out the other day hammering little pieces of wood into the corners of the frames, the splines that I was doing. And he had so much fun with that. And he was so proud. So just getting them involved in any way I can, because even if it's slower, I'm still accomplishing something.
But you're also, you're spending time with your kids in the process.
Yeah.
And sometimes we forget that kids can accomplish a little bit more than we think they can. I don't know. I find myself doing that all the time. I'm like, oh, probably not. But then I'm like, let's try it.
Yeah.
And so with a little teaching, they can accomplish a lot.
They can. Yeah. And it's us slowing down for them. And I don't know, just letting them. And I have trouble slowing down because I have 20 minutes. I need to get this done. So it's just myself taking a step back and being like, okay, you could get this done in 20 minutes, or you could have this beautiful moment with your boys in the garage and have a day that they will remember versus like, can you go watch TV for a little bit so I can just get this done? So I'm finding more enjoyment in that. And especially as they grow and they understand what they're doing and that they help, they're so proud, and it's so worth the extra time with them.
Absolutely.
So what kind of surprises have you noticed in your business? I guess new opportunities they never really thought would have ever come up.
Yeah. Well, the biggest surprise was that first sign order of 10 handwriting signs, which I guess they're still hanging. Like they still look good, because I always think if your old work doesn't make you cringe, then you're not growing. And I'm pretty sure if I saw those in person, I would be like, "Ooh, can I remake that for you? Can I have another go?" And I have remade signs. People that have come back and ordered signs again, like they want their kid 3 years later. Now they want another set of newborn footprints. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm going to redo that other one that I did when I was first learning.
So awesome.
Yeah. There was a turning point. And it's funny because the couple just ordered another children's art piece. And I remember the last one as being my last piece before I felt like I knew what I was doing. Like I knew how to get a good finish on my paint. My backers were clean. My frames were mitered nicely. So they just ordered a sign for their next kid. And it was years ago that they did the last. And I'm like, I got to message them and tell them like they're getting 2 signs, because anyone that supported me then like absolutely deserves the work that I do now. So yeah, that was a surprise that people wanted to buy things that I make in general. The other surprise that I would say is big for me, when I started, I never saw myself doing the logo work, or really, I do a lot of floral signs now, the things that really use my creativity. I would say I didn't know that I had that in me. Because when you do handwriting, it's just, okay, you just take the handwriting and there's not a lot of room to get creative with it. So the first person that asked me to do a floral sign, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. And then I did it and I loved it. So that was a big moment for me. And she ordered, it was like 3 big magnolia signs, and it's beautiful. Not to like pat myself on the back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's like a beautiful sign. So it was finding that, hey, I do have some creativity in me. And once I found that, finding that more the direction I would like to see the business go is where I find those challenges, and I get to use that creativity where someone hands me a logo and I'm like, how can I put my spin on it? How can I really bring your logo to life and kind of level it up into something that will not just be your logo, but it'll be this piece of art for you to hang and more of an heirloom piece than just like your basic logo sign. So yeah, I think that really surprised me. I never saw myself using a table saw or a miter saw or anything. I thought I'd just stick to the scroll
totally
saw.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I think I surprised myself more than anything, where I didn't know that I would love this the way that I love it.
So that logo work was definitely like a turning point, maybe, where
Yeah.
you decided that maybe this is the direction. That's like one of the best things about having your own business is that you can take a moment and be like, okay, actually, I want to direct my business this way, and you can just do it.
Yes.
You can just make those changes and those decisions.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I had someone, like I did the floral signs, and then I had someone order as a gift. He did painting. It was a overall paint company. He did painting work for both of them, and it was Penguin City, and I think it was Steel Valley. That was the logo. I'm trying to think if it was Steel Valley or Stone Fruit, but I think it was a Steel Valley logo. And he ordered 2 signs for that. It was my first time working with a hardwood backer. I didn't know what I was doing. I like showed up at Baird Brothers and was like, this is what I need. And they just kind of looked at me and they asked me questions. And I was like, I don't know. Like, can you just show me a board and I'll tell you if I think that'll work or not. So yeah, just saying yes to that opportunity and then kind of going back and forth with him. Like, this is kind of what I think we could do. I don't know if it'll work out. And oh my gosh, those signs took me so long. Now they wouldn't take me that long. I'd be like, oh, I could do that. But they took me forever. And he was so patient. And it was really cool having a customer come to me that had never seen me do the work. He's like, I know you could do it. Like, I believe in you, basically. So just having people have that belief in me too, that I could do it. And yeah, then I was like, I love this. This was so fun at the end of it, where you turn around and you're like, I made that. This is awesome. So yeah, that's kind of the direction now that I didn't see this going.
Yeah.
Where do you hope to see this go? I know you're working with some companies now, getting equipment, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where do you hope to see the business grow in the next few years?
I really want to take it full time. It's something that's hard. I mean, pharmacy is a very safe career. It's a safe career. I know I can provide for my kids. So that's something I have to figure out. But I would like to at least stop picking up all the extra shifts and get as much time in the shop as I can, especially once the boys go to school. But I would really like to see what I can accomplish as a full-time maker. So that's my biggest thing. My biggest thing is I just want to make signs. I do really enjoy like the brand work, partnering with people. I did recently get a CNC machine. I shouldn't say recently. I've had it for a bit of time, and they're the most understanding company when it's like, it's not that easy to just learn how to use a CNC, to set up a CNC. At the point I was still in my basement, which is not a great spot for it. So it's been like renovating the garage, which was still in the works anyhow. But when that came, I was at the same time that I was moving up from the basement to the garage. So I'm really excited to see what that lets me create and what can that machine do for me while I am still making things by hand and things like that. So I think that's going to be a big turning point and an opportunity that I'm incredibly grateful for.
Yeah. So for somebody who doesn't know what that machine is, can you tell us what that is?
So it's basically you program a computer. So people will say,
Is that using like CAD software?
Yes. Yeah. So you program in the computer what your router is going to cut, and then it's on an X, Y, and Z axis, and it'll go and it'll make those cuts for you. So for me, something as simple as I can have it cutting the rounds, like my backers for me while I'm doing the scroll work, because even though that can cut a lot of things out for me, I love scrolling. Like that is my passion. That's what I want to do. So that's never going away. But can that do things to make me much more productive? Yes. And actually it was your sign that got me, I guess, noticed or found by that company, because I put up a video hand cutting the backer for Liam's, and then they reached out and were like, you need this. You should use a CNC. And
You're
I was
welcome.
like, yeah, that'd be really great if I had one. And they're like, oh, like, do you want one, basically? Yeah. So then I worked things out with them, and it's almost set
Pretty
up.
neat.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
my in-laws are in the wood industry, but they're like in wood flooring and everything. So I've dabbled in like the terminology and the tools and the things that they work with. And that was something that because the goal is ultimately always to like never outsource for anything. And so they ended up, I think, with that machine, and they're doing some of like their vent work with it and everything. And it's actually my future brother-in-law who is doing a lot of that work.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But is it a difficult machine to use? Was it a learning curve?
So I'm still getting there, getting it set up. The company's name is Onefinity, and I mean, they're so ready to help. And it's just me getting to each step where I'm like, okay, I'll get to this step. I'll ask the questions that I need. So it is set up, it's homed, and hopefully in the next week or two, I have the software downloaded now. So hopefully in the next week or two.
A lot of it's coming down learning the software.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can only cut wood with CNC, correct?
I think you can cut more than that. I'm not a professional on it.
I know there's a CNC machine, and then you go to a plasma table. Plasma is more for like metal and stuff, and that's like water injected.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've shown cutting things other than just wood.
Because how does it cut it?
With a router bit.
Okay, so you'd have to get metal ones.
Yeah.
For metal specifically.
Yeah, but I think you can do more.
Probably
but
do more.
Okay.
Sorry, Onefinity, if I haven't done you justice with all that your
We can cut
machine.
that.
Yeah,
We can cut that.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll link them.
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll link them.
I'm sure your machine can do many things, and it's me that doesn't know.
What's the size limit you can cut with?
Give us the specs
Yes,
now.
exact
Yeah.
dimensions.
Technology blows my mind, man.
Mine's
That's
32 by
crazy.
48, by the
Okay,
way.
there
I
we
do
go.
know
Hey, we
that.
got that
Yeah,
one. We
yeah.
got that one.
I do know that. Because I talked to him about it, and I was like, oh, I feel like I could do more with 48 that I can't do by hand already. So, yeah. So Onefinity's been great. The other thing that's been a real game changer, some people hate that term, game changer, but it's okay because it's letting me use my own tools rather than going. I have a friend that taught me a lot in his shop, but Harvey Industries, I got a bandsaw from them, and I had an old bandsaw, and I quoted this logo sign knowing that I did not have the equipment that I needed to do it. And I was like, hopefully my friend will let me go to his shop because this is what I proposed to make for her, but I'm going to spend an entire day there. But then right after I quoted that, I started working with Harvey, and I got a bandsaw that allowed me to resaw a bunch of white oak for a backer that I needed. And it was just like really cool timing, like kind of meant to be where, I don't know, I was able to do that with my own tools and figure out that tool, which I never saw myself figuring out how to set up and use a bandsaw.
I hear about a bandsaw every day of my life from my husband.
Yeah. I wish I had taken high school woodshop now. Then I was like, oh, I never want to do that. That's just not interesting at all. And now I'm like, why didn't I do that?
Yeah.
Making lawn chairs.
Yeah.
You roommate in high school? Those lawn chairs.
I didn't
wood
take
shop?
wood class. My school didn't have cool classes to take.
Oh, I took soldering class.
Really?
Do I remember anything from soldering class? I don't think we learned anything.
We had nothing
But-
fun.
We had soldering class. I was like,
Could
sure.
have helped me do your lighting.
I know.
Come on,
That's
Leo.
something I use every day. I don't have
Yeah.
to solder every day.
It's a good thing to know. I don't know. So yeah, I definitely recommend taking all those classes when you're in high
Take
school.
wood
Like
shop.
they're
One of my biggest pieces of advice that I tell young people, with kids, like a lot of my husband's family members are cousins in high school right now. And so they're like our babysitters for a
Yeah.
date night or whatever. And I tell them every time, I'm like, if you have the opportunity to take a class, do it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. And like, I played the college game where I tried to go to college and it just wasn't for me. And like, if I would have just gone from the get-go and been like, put a camera in my hands,
Yes.
it just would have happened so much sooner. Take the classes.
Yeah.
Take the classes.
Yeah. Do something different, something you wouldn't think
Yes.
you would like, because you never know what you will love. So
Yep.
not that we were looking to give advice on this podcast, but there
Hey,
it is.
there's the
That was
advice.
part of
That's what
it.
I
That's
got for
fine.
you.
That was in there. That was in there. What's something that has really challenged you with this whole business thing?
Business in general. I think I've talked to you about this too. Like, I'm getting better. I am bad at charging my worth.
Yep.
So yeah, let's start with that. How have
Yeah.
you figured out how to charge for what your value, what you worth, the time you put into each thing, your supplies? How big
Yeah.
what kind of percentage does your supplies play in that?
It depends on the sign. I use like so many different kinds of materials. So my standard signs, I pretty much have set pricing because I know I'm going to use pine, I'm going to use birch, I'm going to use MDF or Baltic birch. It's very set. And some signs when I set that standard price for those signs that people can just go onto my website, order without me giving them a quote or anything, I know sometimes I'm going to make a little more, sometimes I'm going to make a little less, but just the ease of somebody being able to place an order for something like that. And those are items that I just keep always available because they're the ones I can work into my pockets of time and I know I can get it done. When I get into logo work or even some of the nursery signs, that is where it gets tricky. So I have a spreadsheet that I use that I plug in every single thing from the hanging hardware to the materials I use for the backer to tape. Like when you go to scroll something, you have to put painter's tape down. Like painter's tape is expensive. I don't know. And it's shocking when you do that, what your material costs add up to. And I remember the first time, it was one of my friends that put together this spreadsheet. The first time I started plugging things in, and then I figured out like what I charged for a sign, and I was like, I made $4 an hour.
Yep.
Wow.
It's an eye opener when
I
you do
wish
it.
I was joking, but it was $4 an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, just having that formula now, and that has actually made my quoting a lot easier.
And justifiable.
Yeah. And then I also think too, like, everything that I do, this business is optional for me. I love it, but it's optional. Like I have a job that I could fall back on. So when I take on a project, that is time away from my children, or that is time put into supporting my children, feeding my children, and just kind of like reframing my mindset that I am not just charging this to make money. I'm charging this for my children. That's helped me a lot in standing firm in my pricing and knowing that I might send out a quote and they might say no. But am I going to send out that quote for half the price because I want them to say yes? But that's time away from my kids. Like that, I don't know. That's helped me a lot.
I have the same exact thought process.
Yeah.
I do. Because it boils down to, is this worth my time?
Yeah.
And it's really a question that you have to ask yourself. So
yeah,
I do that a lot. And I actually did the same thing. I mean, with photography, it's a little bit different because you kind of have to, it's not a tangible product. So you have to think more of the time spent into editing and the time that you spend there. And then you have to think like, what is it hourly worth to me to do this?
Yeah.
And I have to get really technical thinking about like how much time I spend editing in realistic terms and then put it all together.
What
so
will this actually take me?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it gives you a lot more confidence when you can be like, this costs X amount of money because that's my family's budget for this month or this year or whatever.
Yeah. And when you back down on that, it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
can't send my kid to swim lessons and
Exactly.
the things like that, like all the things that I want for them to be able to do. This is what happens with that money. So
Yep.
I'm incredibly grateful when I have customers that understand it, like don't question it, and either are like, yes, I'm so excited, let's do it, or like, I'll come back when it's in my budget. So
Yep.
yeah, I had a sign recently that I really, really wanted that sign. And it wasn't in their budget. And I'm like,
Well, now they know.
yeah,
And they'll come back.
yeah, hopefully you'll come back. I hope they do come back
they
one
will.
day. I really hope they do. But if not, it's like, well, like, I don't want to make that sign more than I want to spend time with my kids or my family. So yeah, it was a good moment for me to just like accept the no and finally get some no's. I think that's a big thing too, where you're quoting signs or whatever work that you do and everybody's saying yes. You're probably not charging enough.
I got that spiel from my father-in-law once.
Yeah, yeah. I had all yeses for a long time. And like I said, $4 an hour. A lot of people will say yes.
Doesn't do very much for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. So I'm getting better. I'm still not great at it, but
It takes time to figure that out.
yeah, I'm getting better. So
Good.
Because also as you grow, you get better in your craft.
yeah.
You got to consistently adapt and change.
Yes. Yeah.
How have you noticed supply costs? I know, especially probably during COVID, things probably fluctuated a lot.
Yeah.
Do your costs fluctuate?
I-
Like when it comes to your supplies, whether it's wood or that kind of thing?
Not,
I'm sure wood probably fluctuates more. Not
yeah.
compared to like painter's tape. Painter's tape
Yeah.
always stays the same price. But from
Yeah.
the wood side of things,
Yeah. Yeah. The wood, it wasn't horrible. You know, during COVID, being a pharmacist, I was all in the pharmacy, not really by choice. It was just like, you know, if
you had to be there.
Yeah, you had to be there. So I think I missed a lot of the crazy things because this business kind of got put on a standstill. I also had just had my son Jonah. So I had the newborn baby in full-time pharmacy, trying to drop down to part-time, but it was not an option then. So I didn't see a lot of those, but I do know like wood, MDF, all that is more expensive than it used to be. But I kind of just double check the price and I put that into my spreadsheet and, you know,
Just
it
kind of
is,
adapt.
yeah, it is what it is. There's been a lot of shortages and luckily I've never run out where I didn't have something, but it's gotten really, really close. Even like top coat and spray paint. I use a primer a lot that Youngstown is great where our prices didn't go crazy because I have friends all over the US and Canada where my bottle of primer is $9. It's $27 in Canada and Canadian dollars, but I'm pretty sure that is close to what our dollar is. So it's crazy how much more other places were affected too. And one of the reasons I love Youngstown is just the cost of living here and
definitely
what I can get. Because when I tell them like, oh yeah, I got this many cans for this much. And they're like, what? Can you ship it to me?
Yeah, I'm sure.
There you go. Start a little market, resell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I noticed. I mean, because I hear about wood industry pretty often.
Yeah.
But the wood industry did change, and then there was like, you don't use plywood for anything, or do you?
Some just 1/4 inch.
There was like
plywood.
a plywood dilemma for a while right after COVID.
I'm lucky enough to I bought a lot of stuff in bulk,
Okay.
and that stuff lasts me a long time, especially when you look at the tiny pieces I'm scrolling, like a sheet of MDF that is going to last me a long time. So I pretty much restock all of those like yearly, unless I have something that needs a really big backer that's not going to be a hardwood backer. But sheets of plywood and MDF, I just buy one time, and I'm very lucky that I have the space and the
To keep
funds, to make that happen. So
Neat.
Very cool. Do you ever get to create anything for yourself?
no, no, I shouldn't say that. I have a file in my phone.
I'm still waiting for my camera lenses.
I know. Okay, I
Side
had
note.
this idea. I was like, I am going to surprise Liam with a camera lens when I show up for this podcast. I showed up empty-handed.
No
I'm
camera
sorry.
lens.
Yeah. But I got some ideas, especially for the podcast.
Ooh, there you go.
I got an idea. So it'll happen.
Cool.
Ooh, a little BS for the middle of the.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh.
And I want to try epoxy. I've never used epoxy.
Mhm.
So you're just going to let me make
Epoxy's
what I
fun.
want to make.
Okay. Yeah.
And I want to just do your logo, and I want to try to do an epoxy pour over, because a little tiny lens like that, I can screw that up and make another one. And it's, it's not going to be the end of the world. There's some things that it would be the end of the world. Like if I had poured epoxy on that and it messed it up.
We're going to have to put a picture of that in so everybody knows what we're talking about. Because we can't see it.
Yeah, cameraman. I forget the original question now, but.
Do you ever get to create anything for fun?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I have this whole list of ideas of things that I want to do. And I haven't really done any of them, because I do sometimes think, like, what if I just made something and tried to sell it, like artwork?
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to not realizing that I had that creative spark in me. So there's definitely a lot of things that I want to do. And hopefully, as I have more time, I'll be able to do that. The one thing when I first started, I always pictured myself doing was when my kids drew their first family portrait, that I would make that. And it's so funny because I told you the news is coming tomorrow, and they're like, oh, maybe you could cut something out live on TV. Like, no pressure. I'm like, okay.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah, I'm going to do it. And I was talking to Nick, and I was like, what should I cut out? I'm like, should I cut out like their logo or something? And he's like, why don't you do Finn's drawing? Because I recently just put one up, and it's like, it says my family, and it's us, like the four of us. And then he drew our dog that's like 10 times the size of everyone else. And it's
The most
cutest.
important.
Yeah, he got done, and he's like, when you make this into a sign, can you make the dog smaller? Like, he's so cute because he wants it to be perfect. But to me, I'm like, no, I'm going to make the dog the size that it is in this drawing, because that's amazing. Like, why do we have this huge dog? So yeah, I think tomorrow it's kind of like a nice push for me to actually make something that I've always wanted to make actually happen. So
Definitely.
Good.
yeah, I'm not cutting out the whole sign, but I'll get it to a point where I can like cut out him and Jonah holding hands, and I'm like, oh, that'll be cute. Yeah. So I'm finally gonna make his artwork happen, and then I have a ton of more challenging creative things that I'd like to do.
They kind of push what you don't typically get to do.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if it ever happens. Your lenses will happen first, I promise.
One day. We were talking about them at Christmas time. We're still working on it.
I know. I do what I can.
Yeah. How'd the opportunity with the news come about?
I made a sign for Andrew, one of the meteorologists. Well, I didn't make it for him. Somebody ordered it for him and his wife. They were having a baby. And I did actually, I would say this is something that was kind of my work that has come to life. I had a friend who was getting married, and I'm like, what should I make for her? I just want to, I don't know, do a nice sign for her wedding. And I was going to make their last name. And then I got the idea just to do the letter, and I added flowers to it, and I did it in her wedding colors, and it was just this really nice gift. So I put that up again. I just put it out there, and pretty quickly I had somebody else ask, hey, can you do an M?
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So that is something, like, I drew the flowers, I put it together. The whole sign was just my creation. And then I ended up drawing out the entire alphabet. And now I have that up where people can just order this design. And then I also have other makers that buy the template from me. So
really,
yeah. So I guess I did do something
that's
that was just like
little
in my
moment.
head. Yeah, yeah. And I
Very
remember the
cool.
first time I saw an order come through, and it was actually really nice. That, not that it's a lot, it's like $8 for a template, but it was coffee for me. And but I saw that first order go through where it was like somebody purchased a template, and then it's immediately like fulfilled. Your order's fulfilled immediately. And I was like,
income.
oh, I just made $8.
Passive income is
amazing.
so rewarding, no matter how much it is.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was also cool because it's like, hey, somebody liked my original design.
That's amazing.
And yeah. So that's been fun. So anyhow, Andrew, got one of those signs for their daughter. And then he told Jody at WFMJ, and she reached out to me. So yeah, it was
That'll
cool.
be
We're
really neat.
excited.
I can't wait
Yeah,
to see.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, that led me into a question
Go for it.
to talk a little bit about your marketing. And so you're selling, you know, the digital files for your artwork. What is your biggest platform for sales?
I would say Instagram now. For a while, even though I think I grew a following on Instagram more, most of my actual orders were coming through Facebook.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing more and more on Instagram. I also have a lot of other woodworkers on Instagram, which has been really cool just to be able to bounce around ideas and things like that and kind of support each other. But yeah, now that is my main platform. I also would say just word of mouth.
Yeah.
Youngstown's incredible that you have like like Steel Valley gets a logo sign gifted to them, and then they want something else for Stone Fruit, like little things like that, where somebody gets a sign gifted and then they're like, oh, I should do this for someone else. So I just think word of mouth in Youngstown
that's pretty awesome.
I don't know, amazing. Yeah. And but I don't know if it's like that everywhere because I've only lived in Youngstown, but I just feel like Youngstown's really special, just like a very close knit, and people tell each other, and it's very much like support local, support small business. And yeah, not everyone has seen, because all my marketing is basically just social media, which is a blessing and a curse because it's a lot of work to do that. But how lucky are we to have these platforms where we can put our stuff out there? And I don't know, like if you think of the amount of people that see your photography on social media, if you did an exhibit and you had that many people see your work,
that would
like,
feel pretty amazing.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh my gosh. But these people they are seeing it.
Yeah.
So
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's pretty neat.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's dabble. Let's go a little personal.
Okay.
What are your boys like? Tell us about your family.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. I don't. Oh man.
They're little builders too.
Yeah, they are little builders. Finn, so Finn is 5.5, maybe a little more. And Jonah is 3. Jonah's hilarious. Like he thinks he's hilarious, and he can be the absolute sweetest thing, or he can be totally nuts. Liam has seen my boys like many times. So I feel like you know what I'm talking about. Like Jonah's crazy. And like at 3, last week was the first time I've really seen him have a real interest in what I'm doing in the garage. And it was really, really cool. And I was trying to record a tutorial, so I have all kinds of video. And I went back and I just like watched that video, and I'm like, he is so sweet. So I had a sweet Jonah in the garage, and it just, I don't know, it was just a really great morning with him. So that was fun. And he just wants to like take care of you. And I mean, he comes into my bathroom and he like brushes my hair.
Aww.
And like he'll push my hair back, and I don't know. Like
boys are thoughtful.
Yeah. It's so sweet. And then Finn, as far as this business and stuff, Finn is really getting into his maker stage, his creative stage, where kind of it's a little bit exhausting because every day he's like, what can we make? Like, what are we going to make today? And he has these like giant elaborate ideas of things that he wants to do. And I don't want to dull his spark and be like, that's not practical. Like I have no idea how we can make that. So I try to make things happen for him. And he recently got on the scroll saw with me and we started with cardboard, just cutting cardboard. And then we decided we were going to make these cars. We were going to make little cars for him to drive around. And like I had them all drawn out, and then he's like, no. Like he's going to draw these cars, and it's the most insane looking thing, but it's amazing because he cut them out on the saw. I helped him some, and it's really cool to see him. he's very timid and he can be scared of things. So he was like really nervous getting on the saw, but then he starts like getting confident once he realizes like, okay, it's going to be loud, or like your piece might vibrate if you're not pushing down. And like the initial time where he wasn't pushing down on it, it like lifts up and it makes this giant noise. He was like, terrified. And okay, like you're going to get back on it and you're going to do it. And then he did, and he's so proud of himself when he does it. So yeah, he's in his creative phase. And it's funny and kind of cool that every day he's like, what are we going to make? And he's painting cardboard downstairs and making a beach city. And I'm saving like little boxes that I find. And then he just paints them different colors and he's thrilled. So yeah, he's really cool. And he's got a really, really big heart. He wants to make things for people. And there's some girl named Zoe in his class that I told him about a craft thing that was coming. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to make that for Zoe. Who's Zoe? Yeah. I don't know about that, but yeah. He's just got that heart, and he's brought a flower in for another girl. So
oh no,
I don't know. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. Yeah. The other girl, she went to kindergarten this year, so Zoe doesn't know about the flowers. So I'm gonna tell her that.
You can have the most elaborate prom signs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There we go. You guys start selling those.
Yeah, seriously. It's not a bad idea.
Question mark.
Prom question mark with wooden flowers.
That sounds like the CNC, a job for the CNC. Signs like that. Just churn it out.
Yeah, some wooden flowers.
Yeah.
Ooh, you can make wooden like boutonnieres and bouquets.
I love it.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, like his little.
I need a wooden flower.
Mm-hmm.
You do.
You got to make me one.
Yeah. I'll get it when I get your lens done.
A wooden boutonniere. How cool would that be?
That would be
really
cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll think about
like
it.
what would it be? Just like a little pin? Is that how it would come out? Like a little brooch?
I think so. Or a magnet.
A magnet?
I don't know. Like however, I don't know.
They're like, they're metal pins usually.
Yeah.
Or like now they have magnets. So instead of like having to pin something, it's just magnet that holds it together.
I feel like the magnet would be the way to go.
Yeah. What's it like
something
to produce product that literally there's nothing else like it out there?
Pretty cool.
I know, that's pretty. I'm sitting here like, oh wow, yeah, like because there's so much inspiration for what we do, because we can be like, oh, I want to try something different, and literally you can go to Pinterest and somebody's done it. Yeah, somebody's done it.
Yeah, I think so. The scroll saw community is definitely growing. I was just, I was at this maker meetup and I was talking with one of my friends, Paul, about like, why is the scroll saw growing, especially in women? It's really cool to see all these women getting into woodworking. And my biggest thing was the scroll saw is a relatively unintimidating tool to learn, and I think it's a really great entry point. So if someone had asked me like, or if I'd found that sign and I was like, oh, I have to go straight to that table saw and do it, I would have never done it. Like I didn't want anything to do with the table saw for a long time. But then you learn the scroll saw and you find all these creative things that you can do with it, and all of a sudden you have the motivation to push yourself like to limits that you didn't know you had, and learn things you didn't initially want to learn. But now all of a sudden you want to learn it because you want to be able to set yourself apart in the field. And I think that's a big thing where, I mean, it's nowhere near what photography is as far as like the amount of saturation in the business and ways you have to find to set yourself apart. But it's definitely growing. I still love that it's growing. I don't feel like it's threatening. I think there is more than enough work to go around. I don't know.
There always will be.
Yeah. And I think I have found really great people in the maker community that support like the community over competition thing. It is definitely community, at least with the people that I've found. So there is similar things to mine out there, but I think that is just like a push to do better, to learn more, to get more creative. And how do you find ways to set yourself apart? And that's also adding those other tools, like the tools that would scare you, or learning woodworking methods that you didn't think you were capable of. Like that's what's going to make your signs different and stand out in a community that is growing.
Yeah. Love it. That's
Definitely.
good stuff. Good stuff. Because it is. I feel like it is. It's still a developing
Mm-hmm.
industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you are the only person that I would be like, hey,
yeah.
scroll saw.
Keep
She
it
can
that
make
way.
that.
Only tell people about me.
Well,
okay?
yeah, absolutely. Because you're our
Community over
person.
competition.
Yeah.
What?
But still, like, there's always, I feel like, again, photography, there's always, there's tons of recommendations always.
Yeah.
And you can name a couple, but not with woodworking.
No.
It's kind of a niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Niche here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do
it
you
is.
use Etsy at all?
I did. I started on
Yeah.
Etsy, but I use my own website
Okay,
now.
gotcha.
Etsy fees and stuff got higher and
Yeah,
higher.
they
and
did.
yeah, I felt like for my brand, like I wanted to become a brand. And I think when I first started, I did get sales on Etsy, but then I was finding my sales weren't coming from Etsy. They were coming from myself and my own like social media, like Instagram, Facebook, the word of mouth. And it's like, why am I paying Etsy when I could just have my website and they would charge me less? And I kind of figured out what I would have to make a month where paying my website fees would balance, and was like, okay, I can do that with word of mouth. And I actually think I have some listings still active on Etsy. And last year I meant to take it down, and I think they just re-upped. It's like 10 cents a listing or something. But all of last year I had one sale on Etsy, not that I pushed it, and everything else came through my website. So I'm like, I just need to take them down. And
those little housekeeping things that are
Yeah.
so hard to do in a business, but so easy. But
yeah.
we just
forget
forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think
no.
I did too when that one Etsy sale came through last year. I was like, what was that noise? Like my phone went off. I'm like, what was that? I was like, oh, Etsy. Aw.
Forgot
Blast
about
from the
you. So do you think, like, because it's very specific line of work. Do you think you have like SEO and Google down pat?
No.
No?
I don't
Okay.
know my Google. I texted Liam because I was like, my Google business profile just got suspended. Like,
Uh-oh.
and I haven't, it's one of those housekeeping things. I got to figure out why. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it is legit. I mean, if you search me on Google, you'll find my website,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have a Google business profile anymore. I have no idea why. I don't know.
I'm telling you what, I've learned Instagram through and through, Facebook through and through. Google is just a transforming monster
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
They're
Definitely.
always changing.
No, Meta's the worst though.
Meta's Meta. I mean, it's Facebook and Instagram, and it's difficult on the back end. It's not user friendly, but it is what it is. And it's like easy to adapt to their algorithm changes. And then there's Google, and it's just like,
Yeah. And something happened the day that I was like, oh, I'm going to figure out my Google business profile. I got an email that day because my website, I think they sold to Squarespace. And then it was like, you had to re-verify that. And it took me forever to figure out how to do it because I am not a web designer. I had someone design my website and she no longer does that. So I'm just kind of like on my own figuring out the website. And yeah, that happened. And that was like panic because it was like, you have to figure this out within this amount of time or your website's not going to be active anymore. And I'm like, that's literally my livelihood now. I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I spent doing that day rather than figuring out why Google shut down my business profile. I'll figure it out.
So there's lots of different hats that you have to put on with
Definitely.
this in a business. Is that like one of the hardest ones, or do you think that there's another hard hat that you have to put on sometimes?
Yeah, I do think that that's definitely up there. All the things like taxes. Oh my gosh,
oof.
like figuring that out. I do have a good tax guy now. John Elias, if anyone's looking for a tax guy. Shout out John. But he has answered a lot of questions. Prior to that, I had a guy that did our taxes and I would ask him questions. I won't say his name because I'm not speaking positively, but
Absolutely.
I would ask him all these questions because it was when I was transitioning from Etsy to my website and never got an answer. So I just kind of winged a lot of the things. I'm like, well, I guess they'll come after me if I did something wrong. So
It makes you nervous, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Because I'm like, I want to do right. I'm trying to do right. But I feel like that, like learning how to open a business and all of that was a lot. I don't know, a lot, and managing the business side
And
of it.
sales tax, when you have tangible, when you're selling a tangible item, like
Yes.
sales tax is a whole nother level, man.
Yes. And I had 1,000 questions on
Yeah.
that went unanswered. And now I have John, and he confirmed that I did do the right thing.
Good job, John.
So, yeah, we love you, John.
What do you consider your brand identity to be?
I think there's two sides of my business where I have the pieces that are very meaningful, like capturing your memories. And I think when I first started, everything was more geared towards the handwriting, the footprints, the things that people brought me that were their memories in wood. And it was like capturing your memories in wood. And I think that's a really beautiful part of my business that will never go away. At least I know the footprints will never go away because those mean too much to me. And I think too much to other people to let that go away. Handwriting signs, I've kind of thought like there's other people making them now. And do I want to put as much time into those as I do? Or do I want to see where my logo work takes me? And that I think more of like bringing your logo to life and just like helping other people create their brand identity through that. Like I tell people like, don't forget your logo sign in your brand package. Cause you get all your logos, your watermarks and your sub logos. Is that the right word? So you get all that,
colors, all that kind of stuff.
And don't forget your sign. Cause when you do something like this, like it's really nice to have something that isn't boring, like something that makes you stand out. So I have to find a better way to string those two aspects of my business together. But those I would say are the two, like the heirloom quality work and just bringing people's memories to life in wood.
Love it.
There we go. Well, there's your homework.
We did it.
There's your
I'm
homework.
going to read a book now and make your lenses.
Read a book.
And make your boutonniere.
I have 3 books from Liam. I have 4 kids.
And 4 kids, that's what I was going to say.
So
when are you going to read them? Yeah, 4 kids and 3 books.
probably get it to you in a year.
I'll just get you the
Perfect.
audiobook now.
I forget that I need to do audiobook every time.
Yeah. Someone just asked me, I had my headphones on scrolling, and my scroll saw there was this piece that was broken on it, and it was crazy loud. It should not be that loud. So you did kind of need hearing protection for a while. But they're like, do you really need hearing protection when you scroll? Like, have you checked your decibel level? No, I haven't checked my decibel level. And no, you probably don't need hearing protection, but I love a good audiobook sometimes. So it's like, and you just put your big headphones on and listen to an audiobook. And
no, she's going to be listening to the No BS podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
That's right. Get that in there.
Yeah.
We'll link you to it.
Yeah, there you go.
For sure.
Except I'm going to wait for more episodes because I'm not going to listen to myself.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm going to have to get used to it.
Oh, yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
It's pretty different.
Yeah.
It is different.
I don't like it.
Ooh.
not listening to you. I don't like listening to myself.
No, I know.
I'm
just like, it is very different. I'm a singer, and so I've had experience like going back and listening to myself, and it took me a long time to be like, yeah, okay, and listen to it. This is a whole nother ball game.
Definitely.
But these mics sound really good.
You do sound cool on here. So to kind of wrap up, how has your why changed from starting your business to now?
I don't know if it's changed.
Has it changed?
Yeah, I don't know that
or has it just
really
adapted into something new?
Yeah, or I've added to it, I would think. So when I first started, my why was obviously like, I want to create this piece for myself. And because that is so powerful to me. So that was the initial. And then when I saw other people's interest, even though I'm like, oh, this could be a business, I still really saw this as something that I would just gift to people from time to time, like people I love, and what can I do for birthdays and have a unique gift. I'm like, oh, I can always just make them something. So my why was just very much centered around that original footprint sign and this kind of having a little hobby. And then as my passion grew for it, I think I never thought I would search for in life something I was passionate about to do for a living. So I never really thought it was like, I'm going to make the safe, practical choice. I will be a pharmacist that will support my family and that'll be that. And now my why is more like, let me do something with my life that I love and that I am proud for my kids to see me do too. Like I get excited when Finn or Jonah, like, I don't know, they'll see a sign and be like, oh, that's so pretty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, thanks, buddy. So yeah, I think it's really cool to do something I'm proud of and let my kids see that and also let them see their mom loving what she does and
That's a big one.
giving them the idea that, you know, they also can find something that they love to do. And thank goodness this world is full of people that love different things because we can't all make wood signs or like take photos because this world wouldn't function. And I do, like, I find people in pharmacy that I'm like, oh, you really love this job. Like you're passionate about what you do. And I never found that there.
Yeah.
But I also never thought to find something else until Eden happened. And I am like forever grateful that I found this idea that I can love what I do. Yeah. So that's my why now.
Yep.
There we go. Well, I think that is a good ending point. Anything else, Maria? No? Kelly, anything else you'd like to add in there?
I don't think so.
Awesome.
That's enough of me talking.
Well, there we go. Well, thank you for listening and thank you for being a part of this. We really appreciate you coming on.
It was fun. Thanks.
Yes,
Thanks
thank
for
you so
having me.
much.
Yes.
We're so happy to.